Hi, I'm Anu, she, her, hers. All right, here we go. So I'm walking up the street towards the lake, and two men walk towards me. They make way for me on the street. I say thank you. They say, wow, so beautiful. You're cute. I say, you don't need to comment on my body. Just let me live, okay? They say, you don't have to be a bitch about it. And I turn around and I say, wait, so I was cute, but now I'm a bitch? And one of the men says, you're ugly. My wife looks better than you. And I say, your logic doesn't make sense, dude. I was beautiful, but now I'm ugly. How come I'm suddenly a bitch? A second ago you wanted to talk to me. The two men turn their backs on me, and the married one flips me off. So let's pause there. Why does this count as toxic masculinity? Well, first, there was plenty of room on the sidewalk already. They didn't need to make room for me. We could have passed each other and no exchange might have happened. So what does making way for me really indicate? It was an attention grabber. So I can infer that they were looking for a response from me, maybe even validation. And they smiled at me. When one smiles at someone, the expectation is to respond in kind. So I can infer they were looking for a positive response from me, not just a response. This was a power play. Now, what are my options? How should I respond? Because let me rewind a little bit and fill you in on what happens to me before we even interact. Contrary to what these men might think, that I wouldn't notice them unless they grabbed my attention, I have noticed them. I noticed them from 30 feet away. And this is what goes through my head like a checklist. Are they gay? From what I can sense. Not gay. Okay. Are they deep in conversation? Nope. They are joking around. They're looking for something to grab their attention. Great. My gut tightens. My heartbeat increases. My jaw sets. My eyes get hard. I sink in my chest so my breasts aren't sticking out. I hold my breath. We get closer. We get closer. I'm almost past. And there it is, the attention grabber. Okay, so we're doing this. I choose thank you with a loud, slightly sarcastic tone of, you've got my attention, now go. Didn't work. The unsolicited commentary, and you know the rest. So look, here's what I've observed in my 2+ decades of being made to feel like an object by men. We teach men there's a strict definition of masculine, and then we don't give them the tools to be whole people. Namely, men are not given the tools for vulnerability. In fact, vulnerability, the V word, is a dirty, dirty word. This capitalist economy doesn't value mental health for anyone. We don't value talking about our feelings. Communication and empathy? Weak. Pile on top of that our American notion of masculinity. Bigger, better, stronger. It takes a village, but men are told that they can't reach out to that village because that's weak. And that breeds lack of empathy and lack of communication. Since empathy was lacking, these men didn't give a shit how my day was, much less how their words might make me feel. Since communication was lacking, there was no openness to be educated by me. Instead, it's bitch, fuck you, and the middle finger. Women and non-masculine genders are the casualties of the male struggle to preserve dominance. Your fervent desire to not look like a stumbling idiot is more important than my dignity and my sense of safety. No matter how many women tell you differently, no matter how many times. My friend said it well. Emasculate. What a fun word. A man is made to feel less than a man. Does any woman ever feel less than a woman? No. We are always a woman because there's nothing lower. What is so fragile about a man that you poke their masculinity just a little bit and it shatters? Why is my embracing my voice and my will to exist equally with you considered a rejection of your manhood? It's a toxic combination. 1, deep male insecurity, thus a need for validation that is not being furnished within oneself. 2, a search for validation outside of oneself, most often sought in women. And 3, on top of that, entitlement, that I should be able to receive validation from women on my own terms because men are dominant, men are masculine, men deserve respect without doing things to earn it. For women, at least for me, I might have empathy. I do, logically. And yet, it's death by 1,000 mini traumas because this shit happens all the time. I told you, 2+ decades. Guess how old I am? I'm not that old. And I'm exhausted, mostly at the silence of so-called male allies, those ones who tell me, I'm just not that guy. Well, congratulations. Neither am I. But what are you doing about it? I gotta live it. And because I have empathy, I'm addressing it where I can. But are you? Because men listen to men. Without male empathy, we're lost. Men don't understand that catcalling has long-lasting effects. Just because you said something one time, a long time ago, doesn't mean that I can't still feel it and still experience it and still be angry about it. Men are like, hey, I was just following my instinct. Blame the sidewalk for being too small. But I'll leave us with a silver lining. Just as I thought it was over, a woman comes out from the store I'm standing in front of and calls after the men. What's the commotion? What's going on? I think you should leave her alone. One of the men, probably the married one, comes back and leans down in front of this short woman, cupping his hand behind his ear, mocking her. But I was just like, wait, what? I'm not alone? Somebody else is speaking up for me? And after the men leave, I thank her profusely for coming to my defense. And then a second later, a man stops on his bike. Are you okay? He says. Yes, I say. I heard the shouting down the street and wanted to check in. I really appreciate that. People don't usually stop like this. People are usually silent. He shakes his head. Not all men are like that, you know. And the woman says, well, this is a real Rogers Park moment, isn't it? And I say, I just moved here, and this is really validating for me. Thank you. And we all fist bump, and I walk on, uplifted by humanity. Thank you.